Hi, everybody. It's Cindy Bright. Today I'm talking about what I'm going to characterize as the life cycle of the Black woman. And in parentheses, you can put person. But for now, we're going to talk about Black women for the obvious reason here. The life cycle of a Black woman in corporate America. Now, organizations want diversity, and they go out and put a lot, from their perspective, a lot of effort in bringing brown or Black people into the organization. And so they hire one of us. They've scored. They have somebody that they can report on their quotas, if that's what they're doing, that they've made hires to people of color. That woman, that Black woman, is often a token, often the single and only Black person who was brought into an organization, and the honeymoon starts and everybody's happy that we've made this hire and we have her. That's kind of, I'll call it the honeymoon phase. But then reality starts to set in. I'm going to talk to you about 3 R's, right? The Black woman comes in and she's doing her work. She is leading. She is tackling some of the systemic issues that are going on that she finds important and valuable to progress all people. So she starts dealing with those things. The reality when that starts to happen is that the women of color, the Black women start, when they're addressing these systems, people are starting to take panic because she is speaking and she is leading and she is creating change that they said they wanted to start off with. But this whole reality of her coming in starts to create some ruffles, if you will. What's next is the response that comes from organizations where they start to push back on her or disagree with her publicly. They start to question whether she's actually the right person or not. Because after all, if you've heard some of my other videos, she came in with her mask, but when she started to address the things that you said you hired her for, the response of the organization is often stifling, and she's the only one in there. And so she's working to build allies around her to help move things forward. Are the allies really your allies when you come in? When they see that you are creating change? Because the change that you're going to create is going to be a world where everybody thrives, but that has not been the world that has been present. And so there's a level of uncomfortableness. And the white people in the organizations don't like to be uncomfortable. They expect you to keep them in a comfort zone. And so when you're inside of the companies, you're trying to navigate that. You're trying to manage it because you don't want to be perceived as somebody that's difficult or somebody that can't get along with people, or, you're working very hard on how you speak and the folks that you're bringing into your circle. I've often been told, even as you're listening to my videos, I don't sound like a Black woman. People have said that to me repeatedly through my careers, that I sound white. And so they're able to respond a little bit easier, I think, by the sound of my voice or by the way that I relate to people. And look, I'm half white also. So I've been around white folks long enough to know some of the techniques to kind of disarm them. But to be an effective leader inside of corporate America as a Black woman, you have to deal with a very strong response from the organization. And those women start going around you to try to start to discredit some of the things that you're bringing forward or saying. The last R in this particular example is retaliation. Right? So we've had the reality, we've had a response, and then the retaliation part starts because there's enough people, there's enough movement happening behind the scenes because people don't want the change. and they don't like to work for Black women. For the life of me, I mean, they just resist seeing us as leaders or seeing us as creating change that they don't want to have to adapt to. So the retaliation of that begins, you've heard me say this before, but that's when the performance problems start to happen. That's when organizations say, I think I may have made a bad hire, right? Like her communication style, like we've really got to coach her up to blah, 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 blah. That's the circle. That's the life cycle of Black women. Now, depending on the size of the organization, there's a range of how long that takes for it to occur. They give you a little bit of leeway in the beginning, but things start to really tighten up there, at the year mark, and particularly the 2-year mark. And if you've created or influenced change in the organization that the folks that have not been speaking up, the backhanded things are going on, the feathers are ruffling a whole lot more. I have a zillion stories about how this has played out with myself and many of the Black women coaching clients that I see suffer from that behavior and that pattern of reality, response, and retaliation. Those are real. But I have 3 R's to help resolve these issues as well. Those are going to be in my book that's scheduled to come out, The Color of Courage. It is Crushing Racism in Corporate America. That's what my book is called. And we're going to unpack these issues and talk deeper and authentically about what is necessary to change. So I'm looking forward to engaging with you on this topic further. My website is Cindy with an I, cindy@cindybright.com. Together we can make these things better, and we can start to address these systemic issues that are impacting progress for Brown and Black people. Thank you.